On your Wednesday morning, and it's my pleasure to welcome in. He's kind of the new leader of Laramie Youth Soccer here in the community. David Hayes joins me in studio. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. If you cannot tell, David's not originally from the good old US of A. He is from over in, you said Newcastle?
Yeah, Newcastle, England, northeast of England.
All right. We won't hold that against you. We were probably, in fact, my daughter would. My oldest daughter actually visited London earlier this summer. She was just fascinated by it now. So she would love talking to you. Let me just put it that way. Well, let's talk about Laramie Youth Soccer. What do we got going on here? It sounds like we're trying to drum up some interest for the fall season here. And I know it's already a pretty popular destination for youth in the community.
Yeah. Our in-town intramural season starts September 9th.
Okay.
Registration closes September 6th, and we have a parent information evening coming up next week, Tuesday night, the 29th of August, at 7 p.m. That's our indoor location, which is at 725 Skyline Drive.
Yep, it's the pitch, just a little north of where we are here, actually.
We're going to have barbecue, food and drinks provided, just try to get as many people down there as possible, an opportunity to meet me as the new director of coaching and to inform them of our new format for our in-town intramural program. Okay,
talk a little bit about how did you get involved coming from Newcastle all the way to Laramie, Wyoming here?
So originally born and raised in Newcastle, then I went off to college in Manchester and did my undergraduate and master's degree. Found myself working in London for a professional football club down there, and then an opportunity came up when I was in my young 20s to move over to New York and work for a club in New York. So I've been there for the past 4 or 5 years, working for a couple of different clubs. And then my wife and I, we had a daughter 10 months ago now, and you know, the pace of life in New York is not necessarily always, doesn't always lend itself well to having a baby at home, doing 60 hours a week in Manhattan. So we were looking for an opportunity just to have a sort of more chance to be at home with our daughter, basically. So I actually knew the previous director of coaching at the club, and he took another position, said, would you be interested? And here I am.
New York to Laramie, Wyoming, from Manchester, from Newcastle, and wow, that's a pretty good jump. How is the transition out here into the West been?
It's certainly different. It's a different lifestyle to what Manhattan was. But we've really enjoyed it. We've been here about 3 or 4 months so far. The pace of life is certainly a lot slower, but everybody's been very friendly, very accommodating. And Laramie's it's been a beautiful place to be so far.
He's the new director of coaching when it comes to Laramie Youth Soccer here in the community. David Hayes joins me, Laramie Live on KOWB. Talk about your direction. As the director of coaching, what responsibility do you have, and what are you kind of looking for when it comes to this program? So
we've got a sort of renewed emphasis on player development. Previously there were 2 clubs in town. There was LSC and Blizzard. At the turn of the year, those two merged, and now we're looking to just do a bit more coach education, to promote different ways to develop players. Basically, previously the rec program was 2 games a week, and the kids turned up and played their games. Now we're changing to a format where during the week they'll get some structured training sessions, which I'll lead the group of coaches, and then the coaches will go out there and deliver the content that I give them, and then they'll have the same opportunities to play their games on a Saturday morning. And it's the same with the travel program, which was previously Blizzard. We're entering into a period where we're going to do a lot of coach education monthly with our coaches, looking to create different ways or just open up their eyes to different ways of coaching the game. And increase the players' time that they spend on the ball. The more time they spend on the ball, the better they're going to get, and just techniques and ways to promote that and do that, basically.
Obviously, I know you're new, but have you gotten a sense of just the merger between LSA and Blizzard? Has that been beneficial, do you feel, for the coaches, the kids, and the community as a whole?
Yeah, I think, I think I'm right in saying that we're now the biggest youth sport organisation in the city. So we have a lot of members, and that's through the merger of the 2 clubs. We now have 12 travel teams this season.
Wow.
plus upwards of hopefully 400 intramural in-town recreational players as well. So it's definitely a good thing for the club, and we're moving forward in terms of membership and in terms of trying to develop the people that are involved, and we have a very active board doing a lot of things that we can do to promote soccer in the community, and we also have some stuff in the pipeline, some exciting stuff in the pipeline for the future regarding the spaces that we're going to play in and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I know trying to develop out here south of the fairgrounds, just south of town. Correct, with some more fields and things like that, and that's exciting news. Anytime you can see something expand, especially with the numbers that you guys do have, it's unbelievable. There's a need for it sounds like.
Yeah, the plans are to, as well as develop the soccer club, is just to promote youth sport in the city. Our president and our board have a big passion to just get as many kids as active as they can be at all times. There are a number of other youth sports organisations in the city, and we're looking to just have good relationships with everybody, so we can play off each other and make sure that every child has the opportunity to play some sort of sport. Hopefully soccer for most of them, but we're trying to push the city forward in terms of youth sports.
Well, it has been a popular sport here in the city, and it's turned into some pretty good high school programs. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure you've learned about that in your time coming here to the Gem City. You mentioned coach development. What do you see as things that coaches have to work on from a coaching standpoint in order to get across the right fundamentals and improve that player development you talked about?
Yeah, I think coaches, notoriously, coaches like to hear the sound of their own voice. Me being one of them, it's at one point. And I think, the next step for player development is knowing when to coach and just trying to increase that time on task. So when we talk about time on task, we talk about players having the ball at their feet, getting as many touches as they possibly can in the amount of time that we have. With so many teams and so many kids, they only have a certain window of time to play the game or train, with some sort of structure with us at the club. So it's about increasing that development in that time, and by doing that, we want to increase the amount of times they're touching the ball. And also when it comes to talking to players and communicating with players, communication techniques on how to deal with certain situations. You have certain players. We have a wide variety of talent here in the city. So how to push the top players and make sure that the players that are at the bottom of the group don't get left behind. Techniques that allow every player to develop at all times.
Well, because kids develop at different paces. I mean, you might be a star now, but you might have a kid that maybe develops slowly, and all of a sudden, just boom, it just breaks through the door at some point in the future.
Yeah, we talk about relative age effect in soccer and in sports, and that's children, boys, girls, go through a level of maturation, at different times. Boys sprout up at 12, 13 years old. You get some 11-year-old who was, 3'2", who was the tidiest little player on the field. 18 months later, he's 6 foot tall, and now, he doesn't know where his feet are. So, those are the challenges of working with youth sports and youth soccer players, that the coordination between their eyes and their feet isn't always there because they're constantly growing, and it's about coaches understanding that that's happening. Instead of turning around and saying, "Oh, what's happened to this player?" just understand that player's probably developing physically as well as mentally, and it's just about how can we nurture that and get them back on track.
Again, we're visiting with David Hayes, the Director of Coaching when it comes to Laramie Youth Soccer here in the community. I appreciate you coming on the show with me this morning. Again, the big meeting is next Tuesday.
Yep.
And that's at the pitch, and you said 7 o'clock. 7
o'clock, Tuesday 29th, 7 p.m.
So if you are a parent or you got friends or kids that are active in it, make sure that they go. Want to fill everybody in on all the information. You mentioned the season comes up here in early September. How long are you guys going with the season this fall?
The season runs, we open up with games on Saturday the 9th, so everybody will be divided into teams, and then that'll run through till the last weekend in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned 12 traveling teams. That's I know that spans different age ranges.
Correct.
But that's a lot of travel teams to
so
kind of balance.
We have everybody born from 2010 to 1999. So that's the age ranges that we have. So U8 to U19. boys and girls. That season, we actually start this weekend. Competitive games start this weekend for the travel program. And our travel season runs through to about the same time, end of October, first week of November.
And then obviously you're going to try to utilize that indoor pitch as much as possible in the winter time before breaking out in the spring again.
Yeah, so we have our big Turf Wars tournament that comes up at the turn of the year. I think that's 29th, 30th and 31st this year of December. And then we have a 3v3 tournament running throughout the January, February months.
Okay.
And then back out into the spring. More games, more kids outside, getting everybody active. Yeah.
I know that there's been a little bit of a call for some adult things. Are you guys still encompassing adult kind of recreational leagues?
Correct. So this summer we had an adult league that ran, and that ran out with the summer. We run the outdoor league. We run an outdoor league for the adults, and then we do have adult soccer during the week, Monday through Thursday when we move indoors. We also have adult leagues running in the spring when we go back outdoors in the spring, so that there is always opportunities at any age group to come and play soccer. Okay. If anybody has any questions or anything to do with adult soccer, youth soccer, they can email Laramie Soccer Club at gmail.com.
Okay.
And we can get whatever information they need to them. And we also have the website www.laramiesoccer.org.
Okay.
And all the information is on there as well.
All right, laramie.soccer.org or Laramie Soccer Club at gmail.com. Okay, so those are the two big contact points. And again, do want to emphasize that next meeting, if you have any interest in getting your kids involved, Tuesday, 7 o'clock at the pitch. That's out here on Skyline Drive. So it's kind of around where the bus garage is for the school district. So kind of across from that, it's an old yellow building on the exterior.
Right next to the gymnastics building.
Yeah, so out here on the south end of town. So 7 o'clock next Wednesday. Anything else to get out there to folks in the community when it comes to what's going on with Laramie Soccer right now?
You know, we have a wide variety of abilities, teams to suit every level. You know, whether you're 4 years old and looking to, have your child start the game or just get active, to being 19 years old, we have programs for players who are looking to be a bit more competitive and for players who just want to stay in town and play a recreational type intramural program. We have opportunities for everybody to play. It's a wonderful sport, whether you've played it your whole life or whether you just want to pick something up. We have a very friendly community, and I would implore anybody who's looking to, or has any interest in soccer, to come down and get involved.